Hey, Walt here from StowGearView.com. It is about 4:30 on a Saturday morning, which is incredibly early even by my standards on a weekend. And I've been up for about an hour. 3:30, I wake up to this noise. I hear something, and it's a really low noise. I can barely hear it over the window air conditioner in my bedroom. And I hear it, and I can't figure out what it is. So I'm laying in bed, and maybe a minute goes by, and I keep thinking, what the hell is that noise? And finally, realization strikes. I realize what the noise is, and it scared the hell out of me. It's my dog. He's somewhere in the house, and he's growling at something. That low growl, and it scared the hell out of me. Jumped out of bed, popped up in the safe, grabbed the gun, and start making my way through the house. I get in a position where I can kind of peek around the corner and see what he's doing. He's sitting in the kitchen looking out the window, and he's growling at something. Immediately I felt better. Our house is cut into a hill. It's a big hill. The house is cut into it, sort of. And if you're standing in the kitchen, the average person looking out, you really don't see a whole lot. You see, a hill, so you see grass. But for a dog, it's about 2.5 feet tall. He's looking up and out the window, so he's looking up the hill and into the tree line, the woods behind the house. And I guess he's a very protective dog. Anytime anything of any make or model comes through, dog, person, animal, it doesn't really matter. If he sees anything come on the property, he's he's alert, and he's making noise. So, I look out the window, make sure it is in fact some sort of animal, and I'm sure it was because nothing was there by the time I looked out the window. So, I go back to bed and I'm laying there, and the adrenaline rush, the panic is gone, and dealing with that adrenaline, feeling shaky. I hate that feeling. And I kind of glance over at the clock. By this time it's like 3:45, and I figured, why go to bed now? I've got to get up at 5 anyway. My wife and I have plans this morning, so I was going to get up at 5. I was going to have a cigar, a cup of coffee, get caught up on various things on the web. I knew that Mike was posting a review this morning, so I wanted to watch that while it was still early. And I figured, what's the difference? It's an hour. If I go back to sleep now and I wake up an hour later when the alarm goes off, I'm just going to feel like shit. So I came on down here after making a cup of coffee. I grabbed an EP Carrillo Cardinal Maduro, which I talked about in the last review. I got these as a 5-pack from... Wow, why is this not focusing? Okay, that's strange. It always focuses. Not this time, apparently. But anyway, this was a cigar that I got from Atlantic as a package deal with I got a 5-pack of these and a 5-pack of Drew Estate Undercrown for about $40 from Atlantic Cigar. And I absolutely love these things. Not to ruin the review or anything, but these cigars are absolutely beautiful. In the EP Carrillo lineup, the Cardinal Maduro is probably my favorite. I just love these things. So I came down here this morning. I knew that this would be a little stout for this early in the morning, but it was something to smoke and enjoy, and it was also something that I could record a half awake review on, or half awake, half asleep, half awake, whatever, however you want to look at it, depending on if you're an optimist or not. I thought it was something I could record a quick little review on. So I spent all this time talking about why I'm awake and very little about the cigar itself. So anyway, I told you where I got them. These things are... This is a Toro size, and I don't remember off the top of my head what the format is on them, or dimensions. But they smoke pretty well. The pre-light draw is loose. When you actually get the cigar lit and smoking, there's just a little bit more resistance, I guess, as tobaccos are burning and moving. But the draw is good, provides lots of smoke. I'm talking too much, and I've got a fan running, which is kind of blowing out the cigar, which is why I need to touch it up already. But as you can see, plenty of smoke. Coats the palate well. It's got a lot of the EP Carrillo product, especially the Maduros, have this stout-like quality to them, especially in the finish. So, you know, so there's a little bit of bitterness. It's mildly creamy. It kind of hangs around for a little while, and I really like that. It's one of the more appealing aspects of Maduros, and I think EP Carrillo stuff, it really shines in the EP Carrillo product. So far, we're off to a really good start. Medium-bodied, medium flavor, medium to full flavored. A little bit of lingering pepperiness, but we're off to a good start, and I'm babbling, so I'm going to have some coffee, wake up a little bit more, and then maybe I can do a better job on this thing. In the meantime, I'm going to watch Mike review the Ashton Classic Crystal No. 1, and I'll be back in just a sec. Alright, well, I've had a little bit of coffee. I'm feeling a little more awake, a little less scatterbrained, and smoking along on my EP Carrillo Cardinal Maduro. Let's try this one more time, see if we can get to focus this time. Otherwise, you're just going to have to use your imagination for the band. God, why is it doing that? Anyway, it looks like any other EP Carrillo band. I think there's a little more red on this one, but the cigar's smoking really well. It's got that that stout-like quality, a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of chocolatey on the palate, soft, creamy finish, so it lingers. You know, it hangs around for a prolonged period of time. You take that puff of smoke, it coats the palate really well, and there's just a presence there after you expel all the smoke, and it just kind of hangs around. A little bit of a pepperiness, you know, that kind of lingers as well. A little bit of sweetness too in the smoke, so it's just got an interesting dynamic going on. A lot of different flavors, and it makes for just a dynamic, interesting cigar. Something that I find complex and enjoyable, even pre 5 a.m. in the morning. Again, I'm smoking this with a cup of coffee. I haven't had breakfast yet. We'll do that when the family wakes up in a couple of hours. And I'm not feeling the slightest bit ill, so this is one of those cigars where you can smoke the morning, noon, or night, and you know, you're good. You know, it's not going to make you sick or anything. At least it doesn't make me sick. Maybe if you're a mild cigar smoker and you smoke this first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, you'll feel sick. But under normal circumstances, I think you'll be good with the EP Carrillo Cardinal Maduro. I was reaching for my lighter. I thought I might have to touch it up again. But medium bodied. It's got a nice creamy finish. Again, you know, it's got that lingering finish. A little bit of spiciness through the sinus. A little bit of pepperiness. All in all, just a good solid cigar first thing in the morning. So I just finished watching Mike's Ashton Classic review for the Crystal No. 1. And in the video, Mike talks about, first, it starts off and the weather's beautiful, aside from being humid. And then when Mike comes back to wrap up the cigar, he's talking about how dark it is. Well, I went through that darkness yesterday. My wife and I went to tour a preschool for my daughter in the area that we're going to move into. And it was beautiful when we went in to tour the place. About a half an hour later, we come outside, and it's starting to rain. It's, you know, dark out, and while I was getting the tour, I get this loud siren thing on my phone, which was kind of embarrassing. It interrupted the tour and all. And when I switched it over to mute, I looked down and it was a weather service alert for flash flooding. So we get outside after the tour. It's dark. It's raining. By the time we get in the car and get about a block and a half away, just the sky opened up and it was just coming down in buckets. Streets were flooding. And we wound up going to my in-laws, which was pretty close to there, and just camping out there. They had water in the basement. As we were driving there, just, you know, looking back side to side on the road, yards were just a mess. Some of them looked like they had rivers running through them. When we got to my in-laws, they were getting water in their basement. It was just a really heavy downpour. I guess it lasted maybe an hour, going between moderate to heavy rain and really heavy rain. Well, finally, when we got home here, we had a little bit of water in the basement, which isn't uncommon when we get these hard, fast rains. When we had that that catastrophic hailstorm recently, my area didn't really get the hail, which was fantastic because the other side of town got, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, in damage in vehicles alone. And most of what we got here was rain, and all that heavy, fast rain caused some water in the basement, and the rain was so heavy, I got a new leak in the basement, which kind of sucked. But you know, what can you do when you get that much water coming down and you're on a hill and all the water's kind of running into your house? Every once in a while, you get some wet patches, and I really can't complain. There's not a whole lot of water. It's not like I had an inch of standing water in the basement. I had a puddle on the floor that I had to vacuum up. So that's the story behind the darkness that Mike was talking about in his video. If you're interested, head on over to his review after mine, of course, and check out what he has to say about the Ashton Classic #1 Crystal, which is basically an Ashton Classic in a tube, glass tube. Alright, well, coming down the home stretch of my EP Carrillo Cardinal Maduro, clock says it's 6:06 a.m. So I've been at this for about an hour and a half. I've still got maybe a half an hour left of cigar to smoke, and I've got to say it's been a very pleasant experience. The cigar smokes very well, produces lots of smoke. I've had to touch it up here and there, but I have a tendency to set cigars down in the ashtray for longer than I should, especially when I'm preoccupied doing things on the computer or whatnot. And this was no exception. You know, this one had to be touched up, I think twice, at least twice. And it's really no fault of the cigar. Smoke volume is fantastic. It coats the palate well. It's got a soft, creamy sort of finish. I wish it were a little heavier, or a little more chewy, but you know, it's still very good where it is. It's medium bodied, medium to full flavored. The flavor intensity has picked up a little bit. Flavors have gotten a little richer, a little darker. I'm getting a little bit more of an earthy tone now. I'm still getting some sweetness. It still has that really nice, almost stout-like quality that just kind of hangs on the palate. And I think that's one of the things I like most about this cigar. You take a puff of it, you blow out the smoke, and then there's like this pressing flavor that just rolls over the palate and just lingers and lingers and lingers. And you know, it takes a good minute for it to dissipate. And really, that's what I love about medium-bodied cigars. They just have that nice, long, drawn-out flavor, and the EP Carrillo Cardinal Maduro does that very, very well. It's probably one of my favorite aspects of this cigar. Again, I'm smoking this early in the morning. It's not overwhelming. This is something that I could smoke morning, noon, or night without issue. And I think that about covers it. I really don't want to drone on and on about the cigar. You know, I think we recapped it fairly well with a lot of nonsense banner in between. But this is a cigar that I would definitely recommend trying. If you're a fan of the EP Carrillo product, this is going to be a winner for you. I think this is probably the best thing that Ernesto makes. I also like the one with the gray band. I forget the name. It changed. It was something, and then now it is something else. And the name is slipping my mind right now. So, damn, I wish I could remember the name of that cigar. It would make make the point a lot stronger. But good, solid cigar. I don't remember what they cost off the top of my head. I did look them up on Atlantic, and I did spend a little bit more than I thought. Unless the price went up between when I bought them and now, but I think they're like $47.99 for 5 of these and 5 of the Undercrown Toros. So even when you break it down, $4.70 a stick, I still think is a really good buy for these as well as the Undercrown. You know, just looking at strictly these, if you can get them for $4.70, $5 a stick, I think it's a great buy. In store, I think they're a bit closer to $8, maybe $8.50 per single. And even at that price, it's not a bad cigar to pick up and try every now and again. You know, I really think you'll get your money's worth out of it. Ernesto Perez Carrillo has been making a lot of fantastic stuff over the years, starting with La Gloria Cubana way back when. And I kind of think of him as, you know, the man responsible for making the brand what it is, especially with the Serie R. And now that he's on his own and doing his own thing, he's just got a lot of hits with Crowned Heads, his own EPC product, and Ernesto's just a great guy in general. His son Ernie's a real nice guy as well. You know, they're cigar manufacturers that you like to get behind because they're genuinely nice in person, and it's just a pleasure to talk to them. So if you haven't tried the EPC Cardinal Maduro yet, I would strongly suggest you do that. It's a wonderful cigar and well worth the money.